our 10th anniversary season was actually a very successful one. You know, looking over the past 10 years, it's great to see the transformation of the orchestra coming from 15 players, which was more considered like semi-professional, to now the 10th year which just passed, where there were 40 members in the orchestra. And the level of the music has really gone tremendously, it's grown really tremendously. So I think over the 10 years, I've seen so much growth in the organization, but I also saw so much growth in the musicians. And right now, going into the 11th season, right now I really want to concentrate on the next generation of musicians coming into the, to the 21st century, because especially the continuity of music is really about the next generation and the generation after. So the 11th season, I'm really concentrating more on youth, education, and of course, helping these young musicians find a full-time position with some major orchestras in town. The 2013-14 season is actually one of our experimental seasons, because now we've gone through 10 years, we're going through a transition now. And so this coming year, we have the new assistant conductor, we're going to have a new composer in residence, and right now we're going to be featuring new young child prodigies, I call them. And the reason why I want to work on these child prodigies is because these child prodigies are not given enough opportunities, especially in somewhere like Vancouver or Canada even, to allow their talent to be showcased. And so what I really want to do over the next 5 to 10 years is really showcase these young talents, because these people will be the next generation of pretty much our tomorrow of classical music. So this year I've been fortunate enough to find a wonderful violinist who has actually worked with me already in the Vancouver Symphony. Her name is Yena Lee. And Yena was selected out of, I think, about 50 to 80 candidates by live audition, by recording, by tape, So we listen to all these people, we select quite a few, and we have a final, sort of like a live audition. And Yena was selected among all of these candidates to come and perform in our opening concert for the 11th season. She will be performing one of the French most classic violin concerto, which is Saint-Saens Violin Concerto No. 3. And this is a concerto that I had a lot of affection with, because when I was in Japan, it was one of the very first concertos I studied as a student. So it has a lot of meaning for me. And so I'm really looking forward to working with Yena in this upcoming opening concert. Now, in addition to Yena, I also want to feature the next generation of musicians. So out of a selection of about 40 applicants, we've managed to select a very talented young child prodigy who's only 8 years old, and he's been learning violin for 3 years. And his name is Tsai. And Spencer is absolutely one of the most, I could say he almost resembles me when I was young. Full of curiosity, full of energy. He has a lot of curiosity in the sense that, he always wants to try new things. And, I was like that when I was 8 years old growing up. I had a lot of curiosity. And it's nice to be in this neighborhood of Lane Canyon, because this is where I grew up as a child at 8 years old. And, I grew up with a lot of nature around me. I grew up with this beautiful river. So, it reminds me of a childhood, and I think what I really want Spencer to sort of experiment and to really feel is the nature of music, because I really believe that practicing is not the only way to become a musician. You must also see what's around you, the atmosphere, the nature. You have to feel the sentimental sentiment of things around you, and nature is really one of the things about musicians.
when I was 5, and I attended private lessons when I was 5.5. I am 8.5. I want to be a violinist. My first teacher was James Malmberg. We started with group lessons, as I already told you. Yeah. And then later on, we had Samuel. Yeah. To help me and upgrade my bowing skills. Yeah. And then Samuel helped me a lot with also music feelings. Tsai. I hope to see you all in my concert on September 8th, 2 p.m. in 2013 at Michael J. Fox Theater.
Very good. Our 2013-14 season will feature this concert, which will also feature the Schumann Symphony No. 2. Now, Schumann Symphony No. 2 was selected because among auditions for orchestras, Schumann Symphony No. 2 is always on the audition excerpt for young violinists. So this is why I've selected this piece, because I really want the violinists in the string section to really get a good hold and a good grasp of this piece, because I really want them to have the clear idea of what really goes around in the orchestra in this piece, so that when they do the audition, they have more confidence, they're more aware of what's around them. So this is our opening concert, and in our upcoming season, in our spring concert, which is been a tradition that we started since 2010, we have one of the most exciting concerts, I think, to be featured, which is we're going to be paired up with the Vancouver Oratorio Society, which is a wonderful chorus in the Lower Mainland. Now, this chorus is comprised of approximately 80 to 100 members. And they sing a lot of gospel, they sing a lot of work, they sing a lot of classics too, especially like last season our assistant conductor conducted them through Bach's Magnificent. And I think they also did the Mendelssohn Elijah, and they've also done Haydn Creation, so they're very, very exposed to the classical repertoire. So this time in March spring concert on March 29, 2014, we're going to be featuring the Vancouver Oratorio through one of my pieces that I really wanted to do for so long, called the Beethoven Choral Fantasy. Now, the Choral Fantasy, I think in retrospect, is a piece that really exhibits Beethoven kind of happiness, and I selected a really phenomenal Taiwanese pianist who came to audition from among over 100 people from around the world. And his name is Wayne Wang, and Wayne is absolutely talented. I mean, he has played with the Vancouver Symphony in the past, and now he has performed with a lot of various organizations. So I'm really looking forward to this concert because the Choral Fantasy is really a unique piece about piano and chorus and orchestra all together, and it's going to be, I think, a superb, a magnificent evening. In addition to that, we also have our concerto feature, which will be featuring 6 wonderful young pianists, and they'll be coming in to perform various movements of concertos. And I think this is really wonderful for our orchestra season coming up. So we're really looking forward to this great season coming up in 2013 and 14. This past season, I've been managed to have a lot of opportunities working in Japan. Of course, I continue my work in Osaka, which I conduct the Beethoven 9th series at the Osaka Symphony Hall. Beethoven 9th is a concert that I've been doing every year now in December, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful tradition in Japan because every year in December, every orchestra does Beethoven 9th. And as you know, Japanese are absolutely, I think, a little bit in admiration of this piece because Beethoven 9 really brings it, talks about how people all come together, and you know, the words, you know, O Freunde, you know, we are talking about our friends, we're all brothers, we all come together. And so I think the Japanese community really respects that part of being you know, singing together. And one of the most wonderful things, if you ever get to watch on YouTube, is one of the concerts they do in Osaka Stadium, where there is about 10,000 people singing in Beethoven 9. And this is really absolutely sensational. You see little kids from 8 years old all the way up to 80, 90 years old singing all together through Beethoven's magnificent Symphony No. 9. And for me to be doing this with the Kyoto Bach Choir and the Osaka Orchestra, I'm really, really, really excited, especially this coming year too. I managed to take the Kyushu Symphony on tour. We did a really kind of a family concert tour throughout the whole island of Kyushu, and Kyushu was actually, for me, the first time. I really enjoy Kyushu because this is actually the last island of Japan, and I managed to visit about 10 different cities in Kyushu. Food is phenomenal. I can say they have their own distinct flavors, own distinct character, and people seem to be very laid back in Kyushu, and it's really nice to see how it is different from Kyushu and Tokyo, where Tokyo is a little bit more business setting, you know, a little bit more energetic, where Kyushu is a little bit more relaxed, but then they still have that drive for things, but then it's more flexible in some ways, you know. And so I got to visit about 10 different cities, including Nagasaki, Miyazaki, Kumamoto, even down to small little cities like Saga and Oita. I mean, it was so nice to see different cultures there. The Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra, as you know, just finished its 10th anniversary. And, you know, over the 10 years, to see the transformation of the orchestra from 15 players, and considered more like a semi-professional orchestra, to now 40 players, which is a full professional orchestra. It's nice to see that the level of music making has gone up tremendously. You know, it's really rewarding to see the players get full-time positions with orchestra like the Vancouver Symphony, Winnipeg Symphony, Edmonton Symphony, even outside to like Seoul Philharmonic, Taipei Philharmonic, the Leipzig Gewandhaus Orchestra in Germany. So it's nice to see all alumni getting various positions, and I really have to credit this not only to the board of directors in the Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra, but also to the mentors of the orchestra. I mean, we have been so fortunate to have Akira Nagai as our concertmaster mentor, and Akira has been really tremendous in really guiding these young musicians, especially the violinists. And we have Ken Friedman, who is the former principal bass player in the Vancouver Symphony, guiding through the cello and the bass and the string section through. I mean, various players all come in. Christian Marcos on cello, and we had Stephen Wilkes on viola, Adrian Tui on violin second. We have Richard Mingus on the French one. I mean, we have such an amazing amount of mentors who really come here and work with these young, soon-to-be professionals or young professionals, and really guide them through these pieces, because I think they realize what essential it is to pass these knowledge to the next generation, in hope that this generation will pass it on to the next generation. For example, like a generation like Spencer Tsai, who's only 8 years old, because think about 10 years later, he will be 18 years old, and perhaps he might be studying music as a career. So I think it's very important for the orchestra to see the continuity into the next generation.